your opinion of the hires. Which one that you've seen that you're like, okay, that one's the best one or the best fit, or I can see it. Which one is the one that leaps out at you so far?
So I'd like to have a brilliant, answer that no one has said before, but the answer is obviously variable. I mean, you talk about leadership, you talk about the ability to hire coaches, manage coaches, attention to detail. Those are all variable. Now, I don't think it was a great year for options. So after that, for me, it gets very challenging. I do think Aaron Glenn's very intriguing. Had the chance to meet him, the presence, the leadership, that's all there. He's not hiring coaches quickly, and I hired him a little late. So I'm anxious to see what happens there. Some of the rumors I think are decent. I know that they spoke to Kaylee, the Rams, and they're interested in Wilkes. I think those are both solid choices. But to me, that's the best of the group. I mean, again, we haven't seen, who's Cohn going to hire in Jacksonville. We don't even know who's going to be the general manager there. So the rest of them leave me worried. And frankly, they're in franchises for the most part that have a long history of not succeeding.
What about
Ben Johnson? There's no doubt is a spectacular offensive mind. But we gotta see, can he do all the rest of the things as a head coach? He waited a year to take a head coaching position and probably went into the market in a year where the options weren't as good. But, there's no doubt Bears ownership wants to win. They'll invest the money that's needed. I heard a lot of good things about polls coming out of Kansas City, but I don't want to say the track record so far is great. Caleb Williams, I have some concern about, but, certainly there's some potential upside there. So I'm not sure when we look back, it's going to have been a great crop of hires or teams that were actually looking. I would have, if I was representing somebody, if I was confident that an opportunity would present itself again in the future, I probably would have encouraged them to wait.
No kidding. So what did you make of Brady's hire of Pete Carroll, Joe?
I think if he was building a bridge to get the culture right, to start to make smart decisions and move in the right direction, I think it's a very smart move. Do I think in the next 2, 3, 4 years that Pete's likely to coach, that we're going to see them, say in the Final Four? I think that's very unlikely. But I think that their goals weren't like, who's going to hire today that's going to get us to the Super Bowl the fastest. I think they realize they have a transition step here. And I think that was a good hire in that context. John Spytek worked for the Eagles many years ago. So I think he has the right mindset. I think he knows the difference between why some teams are succeeding and some teams aren't. I think they reflected some of that in the way they built Tampa. So I'm hopeful. It's a long time since he was with the Eagles, but I'm hopeful from what I saw and what he's done in Tampa and what he was taught when he was in Philly at the time, that could prove to be a good hire there that's more long-term.
And it's interesting, Joe Banner here on the Rich Eisen Show, that you said when you hired Andy Reid in Philadelphia, part of the local talk was, you didn't want to pay the guy, so you got the guy. And that is part of the conversation about Jerry Jones in Dallas right now with Brian Schottenheimer. I give you the floor on that hire. What do you think there?
Yeah, listen, I don't mean to take a shot at Brian at the time. He's fulfilling a dream that I'm sure he's had since he was born and saw his dad in this position. When I think of the criteria that I've defined and what I talked about the Eagles looking for, it's not the direction I would have gone. But we'll see. We obviously have surprises in both directions. I do think he's got a better roster than it looked like they had this year. But there's obviously challenges in the roster, and there's challenges just being in Dallas. But it's not the direction I would have chosen if I was making the hire.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.